As a stranger in a strange land, you stand out for all to see. But as an illegal immigrant, you have to do the opposite. You have to vanish. Afraid of being caught by authorities, many illegal workers will simply take cash-in-hand jobs. But by doing so, they become target for exploitation. The question is, what can they do? The answer? Try becoming someone else. I used to work illegally. I still know the inside tricks to survive in the hidden economy. The widespread trick is to borrow the documents of a friend to get a job. Illegal immigrants call this cloning. To show you how cloning is done, we will perform our own experiment. We will take one undercover reporter and change him into someone else. And that undercover reporter is me. This is Mohammed, the person whom I will become. Mohammed is legally allowed to live and work in this country, but he is not the ideal candidate. The person you want to become is supposed to look like you. I'll let you be the judge of that. I'll now try to get a job in a care home.
Did you bring anything with you, like a passport?
Yeah. I've got indefinite leave to remain, so,
right, okay.
So that allows me to work.
Yes, okay, that's lovely. We'll take a photocopy of that.
Whilst the passport is copied, the difference between Mohammed's picture and me is hardly noticed. And this is the key to how cloning can bypass really important security measures. This care home will perform all the necessary checks, but in reality, they are not checking up on me. They are checking up on Mohammed, his documents, and all of these are real. I'm the fake. The chance to spot me as a fake came when I showed them a picture which wasn't mine, but which they didn't look at carefully enough. To speed up the background check, I'm told to bring my driving license. 2 days later, I returned with Mohammed's license.
Like you've lost weight since that, or you've...
Oh no, I put
You've put weight on, okay.
He was a little bit young.
Okay.
So at last, the manager notices the difference between the photograph and myself. But that doesn't prevent her from offering me a job.
But once it's been gone for a week, we can phone up and do a COVID check, so you can come and start your induction and things like that.
2 weeks after the first interview, I returned to the care home for my first day at work as Mohammed, care assistant.
Good morning.
Caring for the elderly and disabled is the type of demanding, low-paying job that not many want to do. For years, illegal immigrants have contributed substantially to filling the gap, but this is becoming more and more difficult.
Yeah. All right, let's go, guys. Yeah, sorry.
I'm tagging along on a raid by British Immigration Services. And just in this butcher shop alone, the officers have found enough work for the rest of the day. When I was working here as an illegal immigrant, cloning was a risk worth taking because one could find an employer. Today, it's not just clones who face criminal charges. Employers do as well. Will illegal immigrants find another way to work around the system?
Well, that is an important question. Do you know of ways to work around the system? Leave a note on the website.